This is the American Indians, Indigenous Peoples' Truths. Justice for all. The most dangerous show on media anywhere. OCO and greetings. I'm Jay Winter Nightwolf, and this is the American Indian Indigenous Peoples' Truths. Justice for all. The entire human family. Alito.
Before we begin, we have to do our land acknowledgement, and to everyone who is watching, happy Native American Heritage Month. So let's pause for a moment to acknowledge the traditional stewards of the lands that we reside on and work on, and especially their ancestors, descendants, and all indigenous people who live now and have ever lived on this land that we call Turtle Island.
Thank you so much, Leslie. That's our executive producer of Jay Winter Nightwolf Live, Leslie Fry. So good to hear your voice.
Good to hear you too. Unfortunately, you can't see me, but I'm in the background working. But hello, everyone.
Absolutely. We have a very special show for us tonight. When I say us, I mean us, all of us. Before that, I got a couple of highlights from Indian country as far as news goes, and I'd like to give you that information. First of all, from news from Indian country. Native veterans and the warrior spirit. This year marks the 100-year anniversary of the founding of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, which is dedicated to deceased service members whose remains have not been identified. Find out which Native veterans will be in attendance, plus an update on Tuesday night's elections in Indian country. A century ago, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier was created at Arlington National Cemetery. It is a tomb made of white marble that overlooks Washington, D.C. And it honors deceased service members whose remains have never been identified. To commemorate this year's anniversary, Absolute Citizen Ellsworth Goes Ahead will travel to the site. He is the descendant of Chief Plentycoos, a Crow service member who spoke at the tomb's unveiling in 1921. A slice of the indigenous world, children between the ages of 5 and 11 have begun receiving their first doses of the corona vaccine. A native, okay. Somebody put the wolf back in the cage. A native doctor urges kids to get vaccinated when it is available to them. World leaders are promising to take actions to protect forests and cut methane emissions at the United Nations Climate Summit this Tuesday. An Alaskan U.S. District Court is vacating a Trump administration reversal of Bristol Bay protections. This land tackles attacks on ICWA. Rebecca Nagel, host of the Land podcast, is breaking down a legal battle that will potentially harm protections of the Indian Child Welfare Act. Plus, reporter Dan Ninham tells us about impressive athletes from the Oneida Nation. But anyway, Rebecca Nagel, who is a Cherokee, is the host of an award-winning documentary podcast called This Land. It focuses on attacks against the Hallmark Law, the Indian Child Welfare Act. She helps us about a new case before the Supreme Court called Brackeen versus Halen. She tells us the implications of the case and how it affects tribal sovereignty. Dan Neenan is an Oneida citizen and a reporter for the Circle News. He tells us about Oneida siblings Shayna and Nielsen Paulus, who are impressive cyclists. And that's just highlights from news from Indian country tonight. And we'll be back in just a moment to introduce our guests and tell you about something that so many of you may be so surprised about, but also aware of. It's how the United States government will send our men and women off to fight wars. And then when they get back, for most men and women of color that go into combat or into war zones, they are ignored and have to face an uphill battle with the Veterans Administration just to get benefits. Why is that? Now, if you were a white guy or a white woman and you came back from a war zone with a scratch on the back of your hand, guess what? They'll come running to you and telling you that you got benefits. And with that scratch on your hand, you may even qualify to get 100% disability. It's not what happens to our troops of color, Native American, Black, Latinos, and anybody else that serves in the United States Armed Forces. So I think you better buckle up your seatbelts tonight because this is not an easy show to deal with. I'm Jay Winter Nightwolf, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go away. Welcome back to the most dangerous show in media anywhere. I'm Jay Winter Nightwolf, and this is the American Indian Indigenous Peoples Human Family broadcast on the rights of Indigenous people. Tonight I have several guests with me. The first one is, can you bring them in for me, please, Leslie? Is my nephew, Ian Simpson. And Ian served in the United States Army in the Special Forces. He was a Green Beret. He served in Afghanistan and Iraq. And it's about his story tonight. It's one that you want to really pay close attention to. When Ian was in Iraq, he was in a troop carrier. And they ran over, what is it, an IED? It was an explosive device. It went off, and Ian was sitting up in the turret, up top in the back, behind the machine gun. And when that device went off, he hit his head, and it knocked him unconscious. All of the rest of his comrades got out of that vehicle, and gathered. And one of the things I remember from serving is that if you're in a conflict or something and after the firing is over, you call out your name so everybody know who's okay. Well, they did that. And his friend TYSHAUN Bailey called out his name and everybody else called out their name. But TYSHAUN said, well, where's Ian Simpson? Well, we thought he was back there with you. He says, no, he's not back here. I thought he was up there. TYSHAUN ran back into that burning troop carrier and found Ian in that turret up top. When the explosion went off, he hit his head and it knocked him out. TYSHAUN saved his life. He threw Ian across his shoulder and brought him out of that burning vehicle. Next guest is TYSHAUN Bailey. TYSHAUN, to me, is also a nephew. I got so many nephews that are not related to me by blood. But TYSHAUN, in my eyes, is not only a good man, but he's a hero for saving his friend's life. TYSHAUN, good to see you, man. Is there anything you want to tell me about you? Who you are?
Yeah, I'm just like any other normal guy. I'm a dad. Love my kids. I'm a combat veteran. Been there. Educated, bachelor's degree in finance. I work in technology now as an entrepreneur. And just I support all veterans.
Yeah, and you're a good guy, as you said before. Ian, I didn't ask you. Let me go back to Ian. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
I'm nothing more than a simple man with a simple plan, trying to bring it back together again. I've seen mountains, I've seen mountaintops, I've seen valleys, and needless to say, I'm glad that I've to experience both, because I know how to empathize and sympathize for those who are down, and I know what it feels like to be up. So I'm just, thankful to be here on your show today, Uncle Jay.
Not a problem. So we're going to go to Lieutenant Jeff Brown. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and thank you for your service, all of you guys.
All right. So I'm Jeff Brown, the swim champ at DC. I joined the military from California. I was sold a dream to go to the military by a recruiter. I joined the military in 2000. I was supposed to go to the 2000 Olympics with the Army. I found out that I had other orders. So at the end of my first enlisted, I was E6, and I ran into some racism in the military. When I went to the board and got that fixed, I wound up being an ROTC, which is the Mustang. ROTC, went on my first deployment. During that deployment, I got hurt. When I came back, I found myself at the WTU fighting the military as an officer, and I was disrespected as an officer. Now I'm out, kind of, and I'm still fighting that battle. However, along that way, I met Ian. And Ian, Special Forces Ranger, the top of the class of his, the top soldier that you could ever meet. And I went to it was Audie Murphy board and everything. When I met Ian was this high-flying soldier. We met each other at the bar, and I never knew what happened to him. He disappeared for a couple of years. And after that, I went through a time in my life when I was hurt. I was fighting WTU, come to find out that Ian had a fight as well. So when I was able to repair myself, that's why I'm being Ian Barn, and went through the homelessness, went through everything. Now I own a house with 8 acres. Ian has a big house in DC, and I was part of Ian's recovery, because without that, we both probably wouldn't be here. We would be part of the 22 soldiers that kill themselves a day, and we didn't have that camaraderie. Yep. I also met my brother TYSHAUN, along the way. So Judge Joe Brown, I've spoke to you before at Black Caucus. I'm a citizen in Washington, D.C. I take care of the youth. And Ian and TYSHAUN have been a great part of my life and my rebuilding as an officer in the United States. And I'm still fighting my case as well. Because when I blew the whistle at the WTU, they tried to discharge me like I was enlisted. And the Army called me back and was like, hey, you can rejoin because you was never discharged in the right manner. So I'm dealing with those same issues that he's dealt with. I feel like he's been dealt a bad hand, and I'm here on this call to speak to his character. Out.
Thank you so much. And before I go to my good friend Judge Joe Brown, I'm going to let the other person that's going to be a part of the show, who is also a 100% disabled veteran. His name is Vince Hall. Vince is my neighbor. And the music in the beginning of the show, Vince is a master composer and music writer. That music in the beginning of my show, Vince wrote that music. He composed that music. And his music has been heard in film scores in 44 countries. So I'm going to let him get over here and take my seat and introduce himself to everybody. Vincent Hall. You skinny, I can get by you.
Yeah, I ain't got your stomach yet.
Wait till the show is over.
Hey, Ty, hey, Ian. Mr. Joe Brown, how are you, sir?
Hey, brother
Hello,
Vince, how you
all
doing
right,
today?
sir.
Brother Vincent, how you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah, I was in 1st Armored Division. I was stationed in Georgia. I'm Cherokee, Catawba, South Carolina, Piscataway from here in Maryland. Jay touched on a little bit about excuse me, what Ian was dealing with. And there's been some things that I've dealt with personally, kind of like what the lieutenant was talking about in reference to the hospital. I've had to get a congressional on the 1st sergeant when I was in the military. It's kind of like that song, "You Got the Right One, Baby." Didn't realize my godmother, who was also my cousin, worked in my senator's office, literally. And when she found out what was going on, I had to take some actions, unfortunately, because I really didn't want to do it. I was young. I was 18 years old. And I was quite nervous about doing the whole thing. But I'm here to help Jay out with the show any and all ways that I possibly can. And any and all veterans that I meet, we have our own little network. We get on the phone. We help each other out. We try to help them with their disability ratings. I was talking to a gentleman today who works for one of the agencies, which I will not mention because they probably could find out who he is. But he's retired. And I was helping him out with some stuff with his disability today in the parking lot at Home Depot. And he said, you know what, it pays to open your mouth sometime because you never know what you're going to get. And I was able to give him my lawyer's cards and everything. I got my 100% total and permanent. I have my SSDI. Didn't know I was going to get my total and permanent right out the gate, but I'm here to tell you, dealing with that hospital is a very, very crazy process. I mean, I had the head surgeon for the orthopedic department tell me I did not need a new knee. Then he hit me with the falama jamma that, well, 1 in 5 would lose their leg. And you really don't want to lose your leg. I mean, he was trying to sell it to me in the office in the exam. And it took me I've had 8 knee surgeries and a replacement. And I had to take my arthroscopy photos to a specialist in Virginia who looked at it, and it had some dark marks. I thought it was, when they do the arthroscopy, they got the light, see the little dark marks. I figured it was the shadows. He said, no, sir. He said, all those little dark marks you see, he said, that's cartilage you no longer have. You're bone to bone. But the head of the orthopedic department at the VA hospital told me, well, you really don't need a knee right now. We don't see any justification for giving you a knee. And I went to the orthopedic specialist, and he said, no, sir, you are literally bone to bone. And proved it. He showed me in the photo. I didn't know what I was looking at till he explained it. I said, all of that is missing cartilage? He said, yes, sir. He said, I thought you may have been a candidate for a partial, but you need a total. So that's my little piece, but I'm gonna let Jay get back over here and do what he do. But I support all y'all, all the veterans. Anything I can help with, let Jay know, and I'm right here.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
All right.
Not a problem. So
Yeah, just to let you know, Judge Joe. I'm a disabled veteran as well, but I've been fighting with the VA since 2004. So it's 17 years and I'm still at it. So,
Okay.
thanks for,
I wish all
thanks.
of you great fortune in your struggles with the administration and getting what you were supposed to get. I'm very glad that you answered the call. Very not glad that things happened to you that did, but I admire and laud you for your perseverance in the face of adversity.
I want to say this. I think it's only because of these men's faith in God and their intestinal fortitude to follow through and not give up. So now, this man don't need anybody's introduction. Everybody knows him. Judge Joe Brown. He's my bro. And we're also happy to have you on here, Joe. I got a question.
Yes, sir.
That I would like to pose to all of you. Why is it that when a man or a woman of color go into the military, serve their time, do their duties, follow their orders, why the hell is it that Black and Native and people of color have to always jump through extra hoops just to get the benefits that they earn, not that they deserve. They deserve them, but they earned them. Why is it always like that? And between 85 and 95% of Native Americans and indigenous Americans, they join the armed forces. Native American people serve the highest amount of people from any other group in the military. I will tell you why they do that, and then I would like for you all to weigh in on that question that I just asked. We as Native people, or the indigenous people of Turtle Island, known as the United States of America, I've had this conversation with so many of my sisters and brothers, and I said, why is it that so many of us go and serve? The one answer they came up with is that the little bit of land that we have left that was not stolen from us by these Europeans and their descendants is domiciled within these United States. So if somebody attacked the United States, they're attacking us, and we're just trying to protect the little bit that we have left. Anybody want to weigh in on that? And anybody want to weigh in on the fact, the first question I asked, why is it that we have to go through hell and high water to get our benefits after serving?
Let me weigh on this, because I'm 100%, and I got my 100% the first time. Now I helped Ian out. However, this is the problem. The whites have a network. All right, the whites have a network on what you're supposed to do. And, as a Black soldier or Indian soldier, they tell us not to go to sick call X, Y, and Z when you get out. First of all, I didn't even know what a veteran was when I got on my first tour before I went to Howard University. And what they do is they tell you, don't go to sick call X, Y, and Z. But when I look at all my friends that was playing with their children, there's no other job that you can get that your knees are blown out at 25, 24 years old. And I was doing all the competitions for the military. So even when I asked my brothers to go to the VA, they're still like, well, Jeff, I'm hurting a little bit, but, it's X, Y, and Z. So this is what we got to do. We got to understand that it's owed to us, the fact that we 24, 25 years old and we already injured. Because the later years is going to show up when we're hurt. And another thing is this: when you Black, we don't have a lot of representation in the legal world. I have a political science degree, and I was starting law school. However, I joined the military as an admin. And what an admin does is we're good at paperwork. And paperwork is a paper trail that connects you to everything that happened. And I had a good leader in my life that told me, hey, make sure you collect that paperwork. So we got to collect paper trails. However, when you ask for representation from the organizations, they're not looking for people like us. They're looking for white people.
Mhm.
We don't have a lot of, leaders just saying, hey, look, X, Y, and Z, this guy's an example. I got my 100% because I'm good at paperwork, and I had to literally Google the conditions and know what to say and what to say to get my disability. And then somebody had to tell me that, hey, this is not something that you're not a coward for asking for the things that are hurting you, while you're hurting. And from the PTSD that I got from the military was literally being attacked by whites telling me that you're just trying to, hang on to something else, this and that. And let me tell you, I'm 20 years in. And so it's like we don't have the support. We don't have the Black support. And when you go to a class in the military, you'll realize how white the military is. You got to understand, 1% joins the military, and Black people are only 13% of the country. So when you go to a class or you in the military, your representation is not there. They don't let us get up. So thank God that the secretary is Black. You know what I mean? Like, this is the first time that ever happened. I was a general's aide, but there was nobody that I had to mentor me as a tall, scary Black man. So when they was having town hall meetings on a Friday at 1650, when the book literally they destroyed me. And nobody's able to save me because there was nobody of color there to say, hey, the book told us not to give town hall meetings at 1650. This is at the WTU. And so when I dealt with Ian, they got something written on the wall that say, well, it applies to one, happens to all. And when I watched a Special Forces Ranger go through what he went through, I cried the first night that he told me. But then I said, you know what? I got to do it for the people behind me. And you talking about a Sergeant first class that work out every day, that's still in shape to this moment. The Army spent thousands and millions of dollars to give them training, but when it was time to fix them, they threw them in the trash just like they threw me in the trash. And so we need to have the same type of investment to save our soldiers as we did to put in our soldiers. And I should never feel the way that I feel, because guess what? I'm a civil affairs officer. However, you got young soldiers, you catch them at 18, 19 years old, 23 years old, and you tell them all of this, let's be fighters and kill. But when it's time for them to go back to their family, y'all didn't take enough time to debrief them.
That's right.
Third world countries like Cuba that spent 5 years debriefing their soldiers. I could go on all night, but I'm gonna stop right there. But guess what? If I talk to Ian and we got that officer first class relationship, and he was able to get back into college, get a place, because I believe that bullshit the Army sold me, and I use it in real life. That's what they did, and I applied to him, and it worked. So rehabilitation is still giving us pills.
And I'm glad to be a guinea pig. I'm glad to be a guinea pig because why? Because if it can happen, hey, just replicate it. Just replicate it. You ain't got to reinvent the wheel. Just replicate it. That's all. And
absolutely.
Thank you for the motivation.
Right. Absolutely. So Ian got into some trouble with the legal system when he got out. And it wasn't his fault. I don't give a damn what these prosecutors say and these police officers say. It wasn't his fault. The man had extreme PTSD. As a matter of fact, when Ian got out, I was at a local DC radio station that I'd been at for 22 years. And I actually met Ian at that radio station when I was there that day. And he was trying to be helpful, trying to find his way. He wanted to get into broadcasting. So I just kept watching him. And I don't know why I just kept watching this man. His spirit hit me. And I said to him, okay, I'm getting ready to leave. He said, yeah, me too. I said, I'm going home. He said, yeah, I'm going where I'm staying too. So I said, okay, well, let me give you a ride. Ian really didn't want me to give him a ride. But he got in my truck and we rode to, I think it was 17th and K Street, Northwest. And I said, okay, so where are you staying? He said, right there. I said, right where? He pointed to the park. And my heart dropped. And I said to him, where's your stuff? He said, it's over there. I said, go get it.
Absolutely.
He said, well, what are we going to do? I said, you going home with me. But I said, no, I don't want to hear it. You are going home with me. I brought him to my house, and he stayed in my house for 3 years. I did everything that I could do to help him with his PTSD. I would hear him 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, because he had the room in the basement, to say, they're coming after me. They're coming after me. And I'd go down the steps and I would turn the soft light on. I know the worst thing you do is turn a bright light on somebody that's having a nightmare. And I'd say, Ian Simpson, Sergeant Simpson. He said, yeah. I said, who's coming to get you? He said, they're coming to get me. I said, nobody's coming to get you. I said, you're in my home. You're in my house. You're safe. And many a night I did that.
Nightwolf, please state his age.
How old are you, Ian?
40.
At the time.
Oh, at the time I was 36. I was 35, 36.
36 years old. He was blown away. His spiritualism, his mentality was gone. And I honestly believe to this day that if I had not stepped in and helped this young man, that he would have been one of those 22 to 30 soldiers a day that have been in combat that commit suicide.
Either that or a hitman.
You're a hitman.
Right.
Hey, Ian, I'm gonna need you not to talk right now. Big son.
Your lieutenant. Shut up.
Roger that, sir.
Okay, so
Do
anyway,
some work.
and I'm gonna tell you something. If I had to do it again, I would do it again without hesitation. And in those 3 years, I came to love him as my nephew, as somebody I could count on. But he's had some run-ins with the law. And let me tell you why. Ian had PTSD so bad that he didn't know whether he was going or coming from one day to another. He didn't have a place in the middle that he could gauge things on. Here's a man that had been trained to kill, and he probably did kill people in combat, following this white man's order. But when he got out, when he needed some help to readjust, to get his head straight, they weren't there. So, Ian, you can continue this. Now, I just wanted to put that out there.
No, keep it real, Uncle Jay. You and
Let
Auntie.
me piggyback on that. You know, let me tell you, Ian is a man of remorse and everything. You know, Ian has cried many a nights out. And, you know, I didn't go special forces. I was the athletic version of the Army, an administrative version of the Army. And, you know, how can you put so much training in one guy? Special Forces tab, Ranger tab. I just watched the movie Descendant of a Woman yesterday for the first time in my life. And it gave me a different understanding of how much influence that they put in us to make us kill, murder, X, Y, and Z. But when you got to come home to your family, guess what? All my White Ranger friends or all my friends that was, you know, civil affairs or MP with me at the WTU, they got help. And I was wondering why in Washington, D.C., why is it such a black VA? Because white people are 90% of the military. Why is it only black people at the VA, period? Because we don't have representation. All the lawyers are white. All these volunteer lawyers that want that international experience, they go for the white kids. They listen to them. And let me tell you, Ian is a great person. And let me tell you, he cries, he's emotional, he has issues, but he's accountable. And, you know, he's getting a different hand because he's black. And I can attest to that. So Judge Joe Brown, if you have any lawyer network or any power to talk to just the law aspect, and the first of all, we're dealing with the UMCA, the UCMJ system that's from like the 1800s. You know, you give
Yeah,
a
I
white
know
kid,
it's bad. And by the
it's
way,
bad.
don't say being a hitman. It's called doing work.
Right.
Mhm.
And
That's the
all of, when I was
euphemism.
going to law school and when I wanted to
But
go to law school, there was no one that was even entertaining UCMJ code. They was like, Brown, you ain't got a clue. Because when I went to ROTC after being an E6 in the military, these kids, they the most, you know, they're paid off at, like, this is the black version. These kids got money. They don't need to go to the military. So whatever ROTC feeds you, guess what? There's a consortium program that Georgetown and George Washington University, we all attend ROTC together. They have no real life experience. They're 21 years old. In any Vietnam movie that you watch, they get shot in the back of the head in the first scene because they believe on that BS. And they call Joes the enlisted, and who's 90% of the enlisted? It's black people.
Us.
So
Black and
yeah,
native people.
right. And so we got to get rid of that code. That military justice from the
well,
1800s.
look what they're doing now. They've got the trannies and everybody else getting benefit of the military justice code, but they forget about us. Everybody rides on our coattail. I've been helping a couple of guys out here in Memphis who have some hellified problems with the VA around the place. And this is a predominantly black city, so it's a damn shame. I'm in my mid-70s, so I'm not practicing, and most of the younger lawyers I know are always just talking about it's all about the buck. We can't afford to do that. Well, give back, man. Hey, there's a benefit that accrues to you. I don't see it. It's about cash on, well, no, that's not how I dealt with it. But it's a political question.
Well, I'll finish law school because it is just because of what you said. And I appreciate you, sir, for saying that.
We've got some real pussies with law degrees these days. They've taken a profession and tried to make a business out
Yes,
of it and not
sir.
done a damn thing with the business
Yes,
aspect.
sir.
Well, business aspect, but the law aspect, no. With serious business, this is a political thing. And we have to learn that dealing in the political sphere is about a bargain. What the hell are you going to give me that's tangible in return for my vote?
It's a trade-off. Yes, sir.
We vote, but the people we elect are surrogates for somebody else. We come last on the list, and that's not right. Some of you need to start considering grooming yourselves or getting groomed for political office.
I got something to add to that. Since 1492, the Europeans invaded us. They tried to kill all of us. Then they entered into the slave trade. And they went to Africa, and if they couldn't buy us, they would steal us and bring us here. And when I speak of us, I'm talking about people of color. We, as a people, whether you're black, native, Latino, or whatever else they want to put in that pot, we have never been seen in the eyes of this cracker. I'm going to say it like it is, okay? They came over here and stole everything. We've never been seen as being humans. They have used us as tools to get the damn job done. They're not going to send their little white sons to fight these wars.
No, they're not.
And if you should find a white guy that's fighting a war, It's only because he's been disenfranchised. His parents are not a part of that good old boys country club where the money is. I can't rightfully say that all white people are bad, because they're not. Just like I can't say that all black people are good or Indians are good. And I'll go back to what I say all the time. It's not about the color of your skin or the texture of your hair or your spirituality. What it's really all about is how you treat my heart. I've had white guys in the military with me that would have my back even today because we had a common bond of survival. If I get hurt, I knew that they were going to be there to not let me lay there and die, and the same with them. But it's these same old aristocratic whites that think that they got this privilege that's behind all of this from back in the 1700s, even up to now, the 2000s. And what drives them? Politics and money. They don't give a damn about an Ian Simpson or Jeff Brown or TYSHAUN. They don't give a damn about us. We're expendable. We're tools. Until we stand up for ourselves and support ourselves, each other. And I'm going to say this, and I don't care if you don't like it either. You brothers out there on the corner, you need to take your damn gun and throw it in the river and pick up a book and read. Because the only way that people of color as a people are going to save themselves, we can't sit around and wait for Santa Claus to do it because it ain't going to happen. We can't sit around and wait on some white guy to
Hey,
do
Chief,
it.
can I step in and just let you know that JoJo Brown, Chief Nighthawk, he just he housed Caesar, who I just found out that got his pardon. That's how real he is with that. And I'm just going to say to the brothers that's doing this, paperwork and Judge Joe Brown, you're so modern. Your voice is so known. If we can do things and we can get you signed off on it or use you in the future.
I don't have any problems with getting along with you guys on it. I mean, fine.
Yeah, like look,
I mean,
we eclectic. Yeah, we smart guys.
I'm
And
pulled
I just
every
want to
which
use
way,
this
so
like
there's only so much time I have, but what I have, you know, no problem.
I want to be effective with your time, sir. And I'm just asking you, we're
Here's
gonna do
one
what we
thing.
gotta do, and we're gonna create the paper
If we want
trail.
to get something for this, it's going to require political effort.
Absolutely, and I'm down for
in other
that.
words, part of the vote indicates support for you, politician, and you are supposed to support those we know and love, which includes these veterans here. See, they're getting a raw deal.
Yes, sir.
And white boys who come out of the low income area, that's how they get their equity in the system. So they can say, we want to demand, you know, we want our equity paid. That's like when you're paying on a house, you know, you build up the equity when you pay down the principal a bit.
Yes, sir.
That's what
Yes, sir.
they've done. That's
Yes,
what
sir.
all of you have done. You've put in sweat equity into the system, so we owe you. You have built up an equity. So it's not asking for somebody to give you something. You have that equity that you can draw against as a consequence of what you did. See, every rich boy, every Hollywood star, everybody else that makes a lot of money do it because the American military makes it safe in the world for them to do what they do.
Mm-hmm. So where's our
they
cut?
get a
Where's our
piece of
reprieve?
Sir, I literally bought
benefits
8
from
acres
what
so we can
all
have
of you
at least a
did.
place to meet. I have 8 acres in Fort Washington, Maryland. I know your son, and I bought 8 acres, so at least we can have a meeting place. So that was
You know,
my
my son, he's in D.C. He works
yes,
as a contractor with the Pentagon after he got out the
yes.
Navy.
I know your son. Yes.
He's a character. We just had a long discussion, and part
I got it. Wait,
He don't
hold up.
play games.
he bought into all that
Hold up.
diversity.
hold up a
So,
He
minute.
don't play
you know,
games.
anyway,
Okay, Jeff, hold up a minute. Your last name is Brown, and the
Right.
judge's last name is Brown. Is there
Right.
something I don't know?
maybe a connection. You never
Yeah, we
can
definitely could be
tell.
cousins or something.
Y'all
Somebody
cousins.
thought somebody
Next to Ken.
put some symphony in.
I know I
Absolutely.
found out I had a 55-year-old niece who was fine as the devil, and we'd been friends for
Oh
30 years.
God.
The old man got around. Old man was
Oh
her granddaddy.
God.
But anyway,
Wow.
Oh,
you know,
man.
He don't play
you know,
around.
but he was born in
Okay.
1910, so
Right.
I suspect it's probably a grandparent, and that's somewhere back in the 19th century. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Brown
Okay.
power.
Now
Let's go. Brown flower. Let's get it.
Okay. All right. Now let's switch gears. Ian Simpson's got a case. He got in trouble with the law. Ian, I want you to take 5-10 minutes and tell us what the problem was. And I'm gonna switch seats and let Vincent Hall sit in my seat so that he can be seen
Okay.
and he can make his comments. Okay, so Ian, you got the floor. Ian, do it.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm dealing with a situation where they're trying to exacerbate an already volatile situation. I'm no longer on probation, as Uncle Jay stated earlier in this broadcast, that I ran into an issue with the law back in 2014, which ended my military career. I was honorably discharged, which is why I'm able to get all my VA benefits. Okay. The UCM, I was active duty at the time. The UCMJ ruled it as self-defense. Long story short, I got into an argument with my son's brother as I'm holding my son in my arm, and he took a swing at me and hit my son in the back of the head. There was nothing else. There was nothing to think about. I mean, we all men here. So I'm going to say it was ruled as self-defense, but civilian side, the civil authorities picked it up and they prosecuted me. You know, they did the most. So I was on probation after my release, which would have terminated in this past July 2018. You know, I've completed all my anger management, domestic violence treatment, and all of that good stuff. Not a dirty urinalysis. I'm out of the way. Community service. Okay, cool. I'm all about that. So recently, back in January, I'm cutting my son's hair. Okay, this is a different child, but I'm cutting my son's hair, my 9-year-old son, and he takes a swing at me and slaps me in my face. As I grab his one arm that he slapped me with, he's swinging for me to let him go, and he punches me. So when I grab that arm, he kicks me. We're all men here. We're all fathers here. When in what society, whether you're black, white, polka dot, or candy stripe, where in any society is it okay for a child to hit their father and not be disciplined? So I didn't go upside Gideon's head. I didn't punch him in his chest. I didn't slap him in the back of his head like my dad would have. I just pinned him down and restrained him on the floor. They're trying to violate my probation. Now that I'm off of probation, they're trying to bring up that charge after I've done my time. I've sat in custody for 4.5 months. So tomorrow we have a hearing for a continuance for a substitution of counsel hearing tomorrow morning. And it was continued last week because the prosecution was speaking out against me changing counsel. Life, liberty, and the due process of law. It's constitutional right as a 14th Amendment citizen of the United States. What is it that you have against my lawyer that I want to bring on the case? Is it that you know that your case is BS? You know that it's weak, and one or two things can happen. Either the judge can throw everything out tomorrow, or he can grant the substitution of counsel order tomorrow, and it gets continued to where my lawyer has a clear date. My concern is that what's the legality in this whole matter? Why? I tried to go for the veterans docket in the state of Virginia. The state of Virginia has a veterans docket. When it comes to the veterans docket, all parties have to be involved. Okay, the defense, the prosecution, and the VA. Okay, the first go around, everybody was all in queue with me being on the veterans docket, in which I would come out and get a psychiatric or mental health evaluation, and I would go do some anger management training, so to speak. Initially, all three parties were on the same accord. Then once the prosecution found out that she had a say so in denying me to go to the veterans docket, she rescinds her vote and denies me to go to the veterans docket. So I sit for another month and a half, 2 months. Now, it came to a head where my attorney came forth, said, hey, you can get released today if you cop to these 2 domestic assault charges, and you'll be released. Today, I was released within 2 hours after signing that order. So the same, how would I say this? The same rehabilitation steps I would have taken if I would have been on the veterans docket are the same rehabilitation steps that they made me take when I copped the plea. So I did the mental health evaluation, and I've completed my anger management therapy. I've got memorandums from the VA stating both to the courts. But it's still a scar on my record because I copped the plea, and it makes me look bad in the eyes of law. Where anybody in their right mind, or any judge in their right mind, would be able to see, like, okay, well, he would have gone through anger management and psychiatric evaluation if he was on the veterans docket, but he copped the plea, and y'all did this. Where's the hang up? I'm ready to just be left alone with it all. So tomorrow we're about to find out what's going to happen. They want to sit me down.
Hey, look, and it was so lazy that I had to tell Ian that he was a veteran to be on the veterans docket, because the things that I went through, the veteran docket saved me from a lot of stuff. Like, it's not there. If he was a white guy, somebody would have told him that he was supposed to be on the veterans docket a long time ago before any of this happened. You mean to tell me a special forces soldier is the highest tier of soldier, but once he's out, he's trash? And it took so many months for them to recognize that this man is a veteran, special forces. That's it, their training is over $1 million worth of training. Ian speaks 3-4 languages, and it destroyed me, the fact that this man has just been a father to his child, did something small, there was nobody there. So, like, I would like for, if Judge Joe Brown could just talk to the local colleges or represent, like Howard University. You know what? When we go to the VA, Georgetown University and GW's there. But Howard, UDC's got a law school. They're not there. They're not at the
Howard
VA.
University had some law school students that are working with a certain lady that I know who's got a court watch program. And they got upset with me because I wasn't concerned enough with their gay programs. See, that's their orientation. And I don't care what gays do on their own time, but you know, the LGBTQ stuff is a cult. And when they start spending tax dollars and setting policy, that's another matter. But that's what the Howard University Law School crew that was working with the lady wanted to get into. And she just told them they had to basically drop dead. Now, Sargeant, where are you? Oh, there you are. You and I talked the other day on the phone.
Yes, sir.
I believe.
Yes, sir.
And I told you some things, and there are some harsh realities about the way people roll these days. It's not cool. Not cool at all.
No, sir.
But
You
look,
need
can
to
I-
be on the veterans docket. And as Lieutenant Brown has said, if there's anybody that qualifies for a vet, it's a sergeant in the Special Forces, SOCOM, and all the rest of that. And most definitely you need it. And somebody needs to inquire this idiot on the prosecutorial side, what the devil's wrong with her? Does she get what a veteran is? And you've been in combat. You've done, what is it, 4 or 5 tours?
4.
4. Okay. And your kind of tour is some serious business
Yes, sir.
that most don't have to deal with. And she can't understand that. Maybe she needs to go back and take a sensitivity course. They used to call it 55 years ago, or just get a refresher.
Sir, I taught that quick. You, sir, you are so on point. That's why I love talking to you and hearing your voice, sir. Your
Okay,
voice
well,
renounds in the Black community. Your voice itself is a powerful thing. And
Oh,
let me
I
tell
got
you,
something to bring up. Somebody
Yes.
ambushed me today. Brother
before
Nightwolf, we've talked about it. What's this
Okay,
guy?
but
Dane
before,
something or another.
yeah,
He
but
says
Joe,
Native Americans are a fraud. We don't exist. Black folk didn't get brought over on any slave ships. They got brought to North America by aliens 250,000 years ago in spaceships. That he's trying to say that the slave ships did not exist. The slave trade didn't exist. The Native Americans, those of us with that ancestry, that part of the family, we ganged up with the white folk when we got here to enslave the blacks that were already here. It is the craziest thing you ever want to hear, but yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
okay,
It's something that we need to be aware of with people trying to spread this malice around.
okay, well, let me.
But I don't want to change the subject. I'm looking for a name here that I want to give the sergeant. She's in the D.C. area, and she's got a program trying to bring justice. She might be able to, now that I think about it, give you some connections up there that would be of help, Sergeant.
Please do, Your Honor. We got like 5 minutes left. Could you text it to Uncle Jay and he'll get it over to me?
May I?
hey, however, right
Dr.
quick,
Carmen
we got to
Johnson.
be good at paperwork. We got to be good at paperwork. You hear me? Because
Yeah.
when you do a congressional, it has a paper trail. That's all I'm going to say.
Jeff,
I want the name, Sergeant. Her name is Dr. Carmen Johnson.
Yeah, I got the information. I'll take care of that. But let me say something first.
For the Nightwolf, I think you have her 411.
I got everything. But let me say something first. Ian Simpson, whenever he goes to the VA, he has to get a blood test. He got a call a few days ago that because he sat inside of that damn dirty ass prison over there in wherever the hell it was in Virginia.
TB.
Yeah, he's got latent tuberculosis. Not only that, he was exposed to COVID. And ain't nobody saying a damn thing about that.
Well, I know how to sue people. If you tell me who to sue, I know how to sue them.
Yeah,
look, son,
that's
Sergeant,
good too.
In fact, here's my.
We can't hear you, Joe.
No, I said, hey, y'all know how to sue Pepco or Washington Gas Company. Y'all tell me who to sue, I'll figure it out.
Okay,
we got $100,000 worth of training over there. Ian, you hear me? We're gonna get a big song, you hear me? Let's get it.
Hold up, Jeff. Hold up. Joe, can you hear me? Joe Brown? I want to know who the hell is responsible for the negligence that he was dealt while he was in that damn prison over there in Virginia. That's what I want to know.
Facts.
So, anyway, I'm very happy that all of you have been on this broadcast with us tonight. And this is not the last time. And I want you to come back again because we got a lot more to talk about.
Yes, sir.
But what I'm really happy about is that
thank you, Chief.
All of these faces came on. TYSHAUN, you didn't say much, but you and I are gonna have to talk about that. So anyway, thank you all for watching the broadcast tonight, and tell your friends about this broadcast. Jay Winter Nightwolf Live. Go to YouTube.
I took some screenshots. I wish I could have streamed it.
Okay, but listen, can I finish? I know where you live. You right around the corner. Don't start.
My bad. Hey, Chief. You got some amazing here, Chief. But you don't know technology. I wish I could have shared it.
Okay, but you'll have an opportunity to do that the next time.
Okay.
But I really want anybody that's watching this show tonight, your friends told you about the show, click on it and like my show so that we can continue to bring you more up-to-date, in your face truth about what is going on when it comes to men and women of color in this country. They don't want to hear it, but guess what? That's their problem. Their ancestors created it. So now we're tearing down every brick to that wall. And I know anybody that dare to speak up against this kind of racial injustice is automatically on their radar. I don't give a damn. I'm 75 years old. What the hell are you going to do to me? Don't get in my face, because you know what? You'll see the third.
Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah, you'll see the 3rd Marine Division coming alive on you. But next week, we got a special show in honor of our veterans, the women warriors, Native American women that have served in the military. That's going to be a nice show. So I want you all to come back and watch that. Tell your friends about it, because you're going to love it, man. You know, anytime a woman will step up and raise her right hand and take the oath to protect the Constitution and the people of the United States, women don't get enough. They don't get enough play. And we need to stand behind our women and support them. So they'll be on next week. You guys, please tell your friends and let's talk about it. Joe Brown, I love you, bro. You know that.
I'm
right?
back. I got knocked off.
Okay. But anyway, we'll be back, and I'm going to have you all back again in the very near future. And we're going to talk about it again. And
Judge Joe Brown, you're a powerful man in this community. We all know your voice.
Thank you, sir.
We
That
love
was
you.
my son that you know that called up.
Right.
Thanks.
We love you, sir. We love you.
yeah, I
Thank
love
you.
him. I love him too, with his bald head. Okay.
Hey,
All right.
You know what?
All right, guys, gotta
some
go.
character asked
All
me
right,
the other day, how
Joe-
can you be
Joe-
both? I said, what do you mean? How
But you
can
know
I
what?
be both?
I know
I
you got to
said,
go.
the
Ian. Give me a second.
Cyprus chose to screw who back when, you know. Yeah, I can be both.
Right.
The interests are not divergent.
Okay, so
You know?
I got to say good night. The broadcast is over. I hate to end right now, but everybody got to go do something.
All right.
Ian's got to go do
If
something.
I can
Joe.
do anything to help you guys out, I'm in for it.
Sir.
Brother
You gonna hear from me,
Nightwolf,
sir.
You're gonna give your nephew here, Dr. Carmen Johnson's 411
I
stuff.
will do that. I will do that.
Hey,
I will
young
do that.
man, she fine too.
Right. Hey, sir, you the realest. Oh, you the realest of the realest.
You
I
fine,
swear to God,
doctor.
you are. Hey, I heard about you. You're a great man. Sir,
Yes, he
you
is.
got a mentee right here. Talk to you later.
Okay.
I'm out.
Thanks,
All
Judge
right,
Joe.
I'm out of
Appreciate
here,
you.
I guess.
All right.
I
Talk
still
to you
haven't
guys
eaten
later.
all
I
day.
love you all.
All right.
I better do
All
that
right,
before something
Good night,
happens to the
everybody.
old man. But gentlemen, anytime, get me back on, please.
You got it.
Been an honor.
My
got it.
privilege.
You got it. And I want to say hello to my nephew, Jamil Shemshad Dean, who wrote the book, Don't Call My Dummy No Dummy. Thank you all for being a part of this show tonight. I love you all of you. Even those of you that make it impossible to love. I love you anyway. So you just got to get used to it. Talk to you next week. Danada, Goai, Wado.